And I think this is actually a core of the problem here is there is no real setup for an overarching story. Something that they did with the MCU. Obviously, Disney owns this MCU, and there was lots of different characters that had their own movies. It all coincided very well, all the way up into Endgame. For Star Wars itself, they played a game of hot potato for their new
Yeah.
trilogy.
Yeah.
This is a passing, no real treatments
Yeah.
for how they want to carry out Force Awakens into Last Jedi into the Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
They essentially had another writer who was Colin Trevorrow.
Colin Trevorrow.
He was supposed to be the final for the Rise of Skywalker. He actually came out with a script and a treatment and all of this. But essentially, there was a passing of the torch between director to director, from J.J. Abrams to Ryan Johnson,
No cohesion.
and there was no cohesion. There was no.
They say there's cohesion.
No,
But-
there was no. There was an idea of an excitement of, hey, we're gonna have this project, we're gonna have this project, we're gonna have that project, and you know what? It's just all gonna be great, and we're gonna have it all pan out. It's all gonna work out.
Yeah.
There was no real plan, and when you have the panic that they felt from the split of the fandom in the Last Jedi, that sent them into, okay, shoot, we have all these things planned, we have all these things starting to be in pre-production, and the fans are just angry. What do we do with the fans that are split and angry? How do we deal with that?
I'll tell you the answer to that right now. We'll make them angrier.
We'll make them angry. You know what? I will mention this. I feel like in the last 10 years specifically, I've seen a new type of marketing tactic. There is a very big part of passionate fans, right? There's also a big part of fans that have a specific viewpoint of what they think the IP should look like and how it should be carried out, and how it and if it's not in this direction, then it's a complete failure. These people are terrible. I hate these people. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But I feel as there was people in the marketing side that kind of tapped into that anger
Very intentionally.
very intentionally.
Very intentionally. And Star Wars is always has been, always will be, if it wants to stay relevant, political. Point one.
It's about Star Wars. There's
So
wars. And all,
yeah, it's here's the thing. I think it was Chris Gore from Film Threat. Again, I think I mentioned them in the past.
Mm-hmm.
They mentioned that when George Lucas wrote these stories, he had his own life experience. He had the experience of the United States going through Vietnam War. He's famously quoted, whether you agree with it or not is irrelevant at this point. He was famously quoted saying that the Rebel Alliance was modeled after the Viet Cong.
right.
Not necessarily the full tactics of what they did, but overall a resisting rebellion, right? However you want to look at it, it is Americana. It started in the United States. It was a global hit, but it started here. He's an American boy, but the American government was the empire. That was the model. Now, he didn't beat everybody over the head with issues of identity politics. He hit their heart with themes. He hit them with the hero's journey. The hero's journey isn't so rigid that it stays on to the hero overcoming. The hero has to suffer, right? Through different ways, right? Not just through identity, like how they see themselves, but also how they see the world around them, how they evolve, how they adapt. And so he of course he adopted mythology. He adopted the cultures of, the European and then Asian with samurai. That's why it's so big. That's why you have a show like Visions. But he adapted all of these themes into this story. And then, of course, science fiction, popular Flash Gordon. I think Dune was even partly an inspiration to
Dune is
it.
definitely, especially
So-
Tatooine. Tatooine is very
Exactly.
based on Dune, the world.
So
and, yeah.
so that's George Lucas Star Wars. And then his own, inner turmoil with religion, which I can share with, right? You know, having a mixed background, understanding that the world outside of this body, outside of this experience that we're all having, turbulent as it may be, you don't know what's out there. You don't know what's after this.
Mm-hmm.
So he very craftily molded all of these themes together and wrote Star Wars.
Yeah.
Here's the problem with Disney Star Wars.
Right.
Here's the problem with J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson's Star Wars. They don't have that. They only have Star Wars to refer back to Star Wars. In terms of Star Wars writing was like this in the past, so Star Wars 7, 8, and 9 have to at least model some of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Mm-hmm.
George didn't have that. George had life. Disney has what came before, must
Yeah.
work now. It doesn't work that way.
There was a lot of nostalgia.
It's not. That's the word.
Yeah.
That's what they were banking on.
No, I 100% agree. There was this essentially there was this big boost on trying to bring back nostalgia. This is a reason why in The Force Awakens we have this gigantic planet that is essentially the Death Star. This is essentially a reason why we have the New Order, or to be the replacement for the Empire, despite the fact that we should have started with what the rebuilding of the Jedi Order was, how Luke was trying to rebuild something from the grounds of the Empire falling, how the Republic was trying to build its brand new established order into the galaxy from the remnants and the fabrics and the tears of what the Empire is left behind. That's something that should have been brought up. Instead, it was like there was a for them, it was just like, oh, we'll just bring everything we knew back. We'll have the order back. We'll have stormtroopers again. We'll have a way for you to try and fight a new empire all over again. After all your hard work, after especially now that we've seen Andor, of how much they had to try and find money to fund this rebellion, how they had to find the leaders to push back, not just in diplomacy, but in money, in diplomatics, in alliances, behind the scenes, that the empire, you know, had to try and figure out where they were coming from, where their roots. It was a lot of work that they had to put into it to try and break down this empire. And essentially, what the Disney Star Wars films does is kind of throw that all out the window.
It's the resurrection of a corpse.
It's the resurrection of nostalgia.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Remember this. Oh, you remember this this place? Do you
They're
remember
back.
what it's like? Oh, it looks like just like Tatooine, right? The place that Rey comes from. Oh, do you remember the Stormtroopers? Do you remember? Oh, we have something. Yeah. So I feel because of this lack of vision, this lack of cohesion, this is really where people just start kind of trailing off. I feel like they tried to take the MCU formula, even in humor, even in structure of how you tell a story, and try to transplant it onto the Star Wars movies, and it just did not work. It does not work.
Yeah.
It does not work. In terms of the joke, every 5 seconds, never really going into something serious, like how do leaders outthink their enemies? How do they rebuild a new order, like a structure for the people they care for?
How do they sacrifice for the greater good, even if it comes at their own personal cost?
None of that is shown.
You don't see that, and I'll give you one. The Holdo character from Episode 8. That's
Right.
the only that's the only version we had. We almost had that with Finn in that same episode where we get that speech about love and hate. But it's so it makes the whole point so anticlimactic.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it irrelevant. It's in vain. So when you think about you, I'll be honest. I went into that film rooting for the three main characters. I wanted Kylo Ren to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, and this isn't even a dark take, I thought it would have been better if instead of, Rey is discovered to be a Jedi all of a sudden, sure, keep that. Keep everything the same, but have it be known to the audience that Kylo Ren is not actually a Skywalker. That's the whole reason why he's upset. Nobody bothers to ask him why he's upset, why he turned. His whole point is that he wants to continue the legacy of Vader, which, I mean, not even objectively, he was raised by his parents. Luke, what his uncle is his master. He has no prior experience, and we're not even going into the comics that they had to create to
To try and
build up
fluff
that
it.
background, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't have that life experience of, oh no, Vader was right the whole time. He doesn't have that. He's raised with loving parents, whether they taught him about Anakin or not, but Luke is there. Luke is bringing him up. Luke was a character of hope and redemption. Nightmares or not, from, Snoke, who is this mysterious character, okay, keep all of that.
Right.
But have it be known that Kylo Ren is not in fact a Skywalker. Have that be the climactic draw. Have it be that he's been lied to his whole life. And the reason why he turns is because the darkness that he feels within himself is not because he thinks he's a Skywalker and that he's inherently a dark character. Have him learn that he's a Palpatine and he's been lied to his whole life for what they think is his own good.
I don't know about that, but
And have Ray be the true Skywalker, and the jealousy that comes with, if you're so good, why did they abandon you and they kept me? Why are they trying to keep my power in check? But look at how they abandon you to the desert.
yeah, there was
Just like that.
I really wish they You know what? You're right about the idea of them not really showing his true motivation for why he turns to someone like Snoke. There's a very vague sense of Snoke came to him in his time of turmoil, where and also with Luke, where he kind of sees a little bit of a vision of the possibility of his nephew turning to the dark side, and so therefore,
kill our favorite character Luke in the process.
I should kill my nephew because
Yeah,
I have a
assassinate his
fear.
character.
And without really showing their training. That's the thing. They never really showed
They showed
like
nothing.
him training Kylo,
Yeah.
getting into, hey, this is like maybe showing him doing bad deeds,
Yeah.
while he's being trained by Luke. Like, oh man, this kid is actually doing some dark stuff. Maybe he's a sociopath. I don't know. Maybe he's doing he has some dark tendencies here. And I need to try and correct that. Like, they don't really go into his training. Why Luke starts getting really fearful of the potential harm this kid could be to the new order of Jedi within the new order of Jedi, the Knights of Ren, correct?
The who?
Why-
The who or the who cares?
The who cares? We didn't even get into
They
them.
made toys. They made toys at a price point that was high for a Star Wars film, and they just expect you to build your own headcanon.
Yeah, no, it's true. I think even Luke was the actor, Mark Hamill. He was asking, so what's my motivation? He was trying to
Yeah.
ask, Ryan. He was trying to ask JJ, what's my real motivation? I'm trying to build a backstory since I haven't really been there since 1983. What's the real backstory and draw and motivation for Luke? And they kind of gave him some vague, oh, you'll just be here at the end of the Force Awakens. Don't worry too much about it. And like, all right, okay. I think a better story would have been flashbacks in the first film of them really getting into the nitty gritty of how Kylo had this dark tendencies, how he was being trained by Luke, and where the conflict was, because that really brings in depth, and that's the problem with a lot of the sequel trilogy as a whole. There's no depth at all to any of these characters. There's hints of, oh, we're gonna make Finn potentially a stormtrooper who goes down this path of rebellion to become. He also is possibly force sensitive, and he might be the next Jedi. We never really tap into any potential of any of the characters, even Poe.
That whole movie, Jesus, that That sequel
Yeah.
trilogy frustrates me so much, buddy, that I look. I've bought all the helmets that I could. I've bought all the posters that I could. I've bought all the lightsabers that I could. That is not because of the sequel trilogy.
Mm.
That has zero to do with the sequel trilogy.
All
That
these
is,
elements.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like you can tell me, oh, that came from Disney. That came from Disney. That came from Disney. Fair. That's a
Yeah.
fair point. But that is my love and adoration for George Lucas,
Mm-hmm.
who when you hear that man speak, I don't care what race you are. I don't care how you identify yourself. He is our grandfather at this point. He is the man that in in caveman times you would sit around the fire and listen to him tell a story. That's our grandfather. That's our father. That's our uncle, our brother,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. All of that is for him. Um, Disney knew what they were buying. They just felt that nostalgia power was strong enough to push out one film, Episode 7,
Yeah.
get it out there to recoup some loss on the sale.
Because the fans are going to come
Let
no matter what.
exactly with all that hype. They marketed it on everything. They put Star Wars stickers on little tangerine oranges, on bananas, on Lay's chips, on Coke, right? Um, but they didn't put that energy into making damn sure that the writers knew what they were doing. I take that seriously because J.J. Abrams, if I'm not mistaken, told Daisy Ridley,
Mm.
you need to treat this you need to treat this franchise like a religion. Because for some people, he did.
You know, yeah.
Because for some people, they take it just as seriously. Because there's so many themes written into this story,
Right.
a family story that
There's
sure
literally a
you can have
messianic figure.
you can have
Yes.
you can have your spin-offs. They're valuable. They add color to your world. But this is a family drama. This is a soap opera. Okay? A space soap opera. Uh, to hop, to have too many cooks in the kitchen, to hop from writer to writer to writer to writer to writer to writer to writer, to go into your trades, into Hollywood Reporter, to Variety, to whoever, Rolling Stone, to whoever would be willing to listen and write, and 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 I won't be the first to say it, and I probably won't be the last. I wish I would be, to put out there that the fan base is toxic to a degree based on an identity. You know what you bought, and I know you are intelligent enough to understand that your audience is there to be entertained, not to be lectured to. They are looking for that campfire story. What you are giving them is propaganda. What you are giving them are excuses. You are demonstrating your fear of the audience because they are not giving you the money that you want. And the point is, you are only interested in their money. You're not interested in the story, which is
No.
what you paid for.
Right. No, I agree. I said this earlier. I'm gonna say it again. This was a $4 billion purchase with a fandom of 50 years worth. They bought into. This isn't just some like casual. I know, understand for some people this is a casual watch.
That's
Some
fine.
people don't like Star Wars. That's fine.
Yeah.
But there's literally 5 decades of fandoms that, from father to son, mother to daughter, intertwined, they have spent their time, their money into buying books, posters, going to the movies, buying toys, clothes, shirts, sweatshirts, and constantly rewatching all the new editions, extended editions, new cuts. It takes time and energy of an enjoyment they had, and also a bonding experience with those family members where you guys can both say, you know what, this is something we do together. We loved it. We put our time and money into it. And Disney bought into that. They bought into that.
They knew what they were doing.
They knew what they were doing.
They knew what
They
they were
knew
doing.
there was
They're
the
not
audience.
stupid.
So when the first movie of Force Awakens comes out, oh, heck yeah, the anticipation, the hype, everything that the money was going to come in. They obviously made more than $1 billion. The movie was out for a very long time. I went
They
and
took
saw
up
it.
all the theaters.
They took up all
They
the years.
pissed off some other
Yes,
directors
they
saying,
did.
yeah, you can't have your film released here at
Yeah.
the window that you want at these specific distributors because Star Wars is back, baby,
And we're Disney.
and we're Disney.
Honor our us. Honor
Now,
us.
look.
Yes.
If you have that kind of clout, if you have that kind of money, I don't run the game. If that's how you play the game, okay, I don't have an opinion on that. But you had better damn make sure that that story is good.
That's the thing. How could, if you buy into something that is so rich, people love it not just because of the toys. They don't love it just, they love it because of the story. They love it because of the characters. The characters, Luke, Leia, Han. Han is such an icon. The I know line is such an icon. Anyone, it's so iconic. Everyone quotes it. Luke, I am your father is across different types of films too.
Luke, I am your father.
Search your feelings, Jorge. You know it to be true.
Yo soy tu papá.
It's such an iconic IP franchise that you need to take what you bought seriously. You had to hire the writers that understood not maybe every piece of lore, obviously not all of Legends, not all of
helps.
it helps. I mean, it helps.
It kind of helps.
Don't discard it either. The Legends books, I mean, the Legends stories, because it takes a lot of time and effort, real effort, that a lot of these writers put into penning and writing and typing books, novels, not scripts, novels. That takes a lot of time and energy. Don't just discard it. It helped build a lot of the lore. You bought into this fandom, and you need to understand which writers do I need to hire that understand this lore, that can build cohesive stories for films, for televisions, that can deliver right to the audiences we're trying to market towards. And
I maybe I have an unpopular take to this.
okay,
I kind of wish episode 7 was not as successful as it was. I didn't say that the story was good. I'm saying I wish episode 7 hadn't made nearly as much money as it did. Here's why. That makes Disney reprioritize. Disney went into the conversation of a new Star Wars movie based on the assumption this is going to be a huge hit.
right,
Okay. Now imagine if they had gone into that theatrical release. Doesn't make the billions, right? Makes money, sure,
yeah,
right? But it makes the money that the typical Marvel movie today
$1 billion
makes. Okay.
Yes,
All right. Imagine if it had made that much money, substantially less. That'll make Disney go, oh shit, we need better writers. We need better scripts. We need less CGI. We need more puppetry. We need more costumes. We need less studio involvement. We need more dreamers. We need more people who are involved in the handling of these films.
right.
Right? The people that truly grew up on these films, that
Yeah.
understand the lore.